Welcome everybody. We are, oh, I've lost my mouse. Okay. All right. So welcome everybody. My name is Hong Lu. Welcome everybody. We are getting a bit some feedback there. Okay. So my name is Hong Lu and I am with Cash Property, and we will be starting today on March 18th and going through an analysis about real estate. And this one today is going to be an interesting one because I do get this question a lot throughout the course of the year. And because the TFSA has been around for a few years, this question comes up quite a bit every single year. Because there's always, some question like, and the question today is it better to put my money into a TFSA, dividend paying TFSA stock, or put that into my mortgage? So we will answer that one today. And then, yeah, I have no questions for today that came up except for that one. So we will go into the analysis on that one. Okay, so before I go into that calculation, I just want to say that before stop your contributions to your TFSA and dump it into your mortgage, make sure you take this analysis and go and check with somebody else. Or before you like dump all your money into your mortgage rather than your TFSA, go and check with somebody else. This idea may not be the right thing for you. Okay, so we will get into that. So that's just a little bit disclaimer. And I'm hoping with these recordings is really to help fellow investors, accredited investors, make the right choice for them, for their family, to grow their net worth, to have that generational wealth. Okay, so please, if you'd like to connect with me to chat more about other things in real estate and also about this idea, please connect with this QR code. Okay, happy to do that. All right, so let's go into the question that came in. Which was paying down the mortgage or buying dividend TFSAs. And this is a great question because, when the TFSA came out, I'm like, hey, fantastic. I can buy dividend TFSAs and then it's not taxed at all, as that money is growing in that TFSA account. So keep in mind that the money that you use to invest in the TFSA, that money would have already been taxed. Okay. But then once it's in the TFSA and whatever gains are in the TFSA, then that money is not taxed. So then when you're getting dividend income, that's like extra bonus, right? So that's one of the benefits of having a TFSA account, and then every single year you top up. So now the question becomes, well, okay, if I only have $6,000 for the year at like bonus money, like extra money, is it better just to make that payment into a TFSA, buy some dividend stocks, and then let that compound over the years? Or if I have a mortgage, does it make sense to maybe put that money into the mortgage, pay down the principal, and then have this mortgage-free home? Okay, so my answer to that is that it doesn't need to be one or the other. It can actually be both. Okay, so let me go into the calculation and then explain the numbers behind this thought process, and then I'll tell you how you could do the TFSA and pay down your mortgage at the same time. Okay, so both strategies in one, so that you're able to give your money more than one job. Okay, and if you attended my mastermind, I think 2 months ago, or if you watch some of my other YouTube videos, you'll understand this concept of giving your money more than one job. Okay, so let me go into that because I love talking about money. Okay, so I need to share my screen, so give me 1 second here. Okay, so here we go. So this is my mortgage calculator spreadsheet. Now, this is one that I just took and built into an Excel sheet, but you can actually download this from this website here. So it's from this CMHC website. I don't even know if this isn't existing. Like I got this, 6-7 years ago and been playing with this spreadsheet ever since. Or you can go to this. This is from this website here. Okay, so 2 different ways of looking at your calculation. I use both spreadsheets because I want to make sure that I'm looking at the right numbers from multiple angles, okay? And so that's why I have those two. And then I have this mortgage calculator. This is the one that I built out for myself because I wanted to understand every single number that went into mortgage paydown, the monthly interest and all of that stuff. So this is just the third spreadsheet. Okay, so don't let that confuse you. What I want to show you here is this TFSA part here. Okay, so if you were to contribute the $6,000, and I'm using the 6,000, assuming that that's what you have every single year to put into your TFSA, okay? And the situation here is you're at the beginning of the year and you're looking at putting in that $6,000. You're going to buy a dividend paying stock. So it's not, so it needs to be a dividend paying stock. If it's not dividend paying, then this whole scenario won't apply. Okay. So it needs to be dividend paying, and the stock needs to be making some sort of a gain. So there's two financial considerations here, right? One is the dividend growth, and then the second is the actual growth on the stock itself. Okay, so this spreadsheet basically runs for 10 years. Okay, so I just ran the model for 10 years. You could definitely, add more to this, but it'll give you the idea of what it would look like within that 10-year snapshot. Okay, so every single year you're going to put in $6,000. So then your balance at the start of every single year would change because you would be getting a dividend payout and you would be getting a gain in that stock, okay? So basically, I'm taking the initial start at the beginning of the year, add on the new TFSA contribution, add in your dividend payments, okay? Taking that new balance and saying, okay, if that stock grew by, in this case, I put 7% down in the stock gain, what is my ending balance on that stock? Okay, so it doesn't matter what stock it is, it doesn't matter what the price of that stock is. I'm just saying, okay, it's going to give you a 1.5 dividend payout, plus the stock itself will gain 7%. So now in this spreadsheet, you would just adjust everything that's in the blue cell. So if your dividend payout is 3%, you would adjust this to the 3%. Of course, then that would change your numbers. And if the stock gain here is 10%, that will definitely change your numbers. So as you can see, you can't forecast what the stock gain is going to be. So here you're just running a projection. Okay, so that's really important to understand that. The dividend payout, you can sort of go in history for that stock and be like, okay, in the past, this stock has issued their dividend payout at 3%. Okay, and then so then you can sort of use that as a good number. But then for the future, you really don't know because they could adjust that dividend payout. They could cancel it for all we know, right? Okay, so keep in mind that this is a lot of what ifs. Okay, so if we run this out, so $6,000 going in on the first year, we get a 1.5 dividend payout. The gain is 7%. At the end of the first year, we would have 6,516. We repeat this the second year, and the ending balance would be 13,593. Okay. And so you can see the math that I put into all of these cells. Like it's just basically adding and multiplying. Okay. And then carrying it forward. So then at this point here, we say, okay, if we were to enter the year that we want to get the summary for, so this column here or this row here is to just say, okay, it's a snapshot in time in the future. If I want to know what my returns will be in year 10. So in year 10, my total contributions I would have made into my TFSA is 60,000. My total dividends made at this point would be $6,476. And that's just taking in the dividend payout at the 1.5. Then I say, okay, my stock gain at that in the future at 10 years would be 30,677. And this is, just calculating all of the stock gains from here. So my value of that stock would be 97,000. So that's what would be my TFSA value at that time. Okay. So my total ROI would be 61.9%. Now, when you look at this, you're like, well, that's fantastic, like 61%. Now keep in mind that this is over 10 years. So then you have to divide your 97,000 by your 10 years. So that works out to be a 6.2% return. Okay. So when you look at it that way, 6.2 is okay. Like it's, it's better than a GIC, but it's not as good as what we would expect to see when we're, investing in real estate or potentially doing some other opportunities. So now, if your dividend payout is 3%, let's just say, well, look at this. Now your returns go up, right? Because now your IRR is 7.7, which is fantastic. And then let's just say that your stock gain, instead of 7%, let's just say you put it into the S&P 500 and you're getting, 10%. Okay. So now your IRR is 11.2, which is really good. Okay. So let's just say that you do this for 5 years, okay? So you'll see the magic of this spreadsheet, because now if I type in 5 years and I just want to see what the snapshot is like for a 5-year period, well, now I've made a total contribution of 30,000. My total dividends made is 3,200, and my stock gain would have been 11,000. So my TFSA balance at the end of the 5 years would be 44,000, which is great. I would have made a 9.5% IRR. Okay, so this spreadsheet is built just to give you that instant number, so that you could say, okay, if I did this for X amount of years, what would my returns be based on all these conditions? Okay, so now let's go into the next part of the question, which is it better to just put my $6,000 a year into my TFSA and buy dividend stocks? Okay, or do I want to put it into my mortgage and pay down the principal? Okay, so let me back up here. This scenario that we're running here, we are assuming that you're leaving the dividends in your TFSA account. You're not taking that dividend out or doing something else with it, okay? And you're not taking out the stock gains. Like, everything is staying in the account and being reinvested year over year. The benefit of that is you have the compounding effect taking place, okay? And that's one of the magics within this math, is that if you get the compounding interest, your gain is significantly higher. Okay, so to consider this, let's just say that we have a mortgage, okay, and I'm going to put in 380,000 as the mortgage. You know what? Let's just make it easier. We're going to go 500,000. Did I do that right, or was that too many zeros? Okay, so we have a mortgage of $500,000. We're at a 7% interest rate. We've got an amortization of 30 years, and we're going to do accelerate it bi-weekly. So let me just, so I'll just leave it at that for now, just to make it, just leave the spreadsheet. So what we're saying here is if we have this mortgage, is it better to put the money in the TFSA or pay down this mortgage? Okay, and we're going to do a 5-year term. Okay, so let's change that to 5 years. So this calculation is going to change depending on what your mortgage amount is and what your interest rate is and what your amortization is. So those are your 3 what ifs, okay? So those are the 3 things that you would also play around with. So in this case, with $500,000, 7% interest rates, and a 30% amortization, okay, your monthly payments would be 2,000 principal. Okay, so your starting balance here is $5,000. You're paying down, so your monthly interest and your principal. So look at this. You can see, so if you can just look at the numbers and then just visualize it, okay, you can see most of that money that you're paying in principal payments, okay, and mortgage is 3,326. Okay, so that's your monthly payment. Most of that is going to your interest, okay, and $409 is going to your principal, okay, and of course this amount's going to adjust as you keep paying down your monthly payment, okay. So if you can't visualize that, this is another way to look at it here. This is where your interest payment is. This pink line is your interest, and look at your principal payment. Okay. So, which is so crazy. Like a significant portion of what you're paying every single month is going to your interest payments. Okay. So the benefit of throwing $6,000 into your mortgage in that first year, okay, and then repeating that every single year. So let's just say we're looking at a period of 5 years and we're saying, okay, if I was to put in $6,000 every single year, and I'm just going to dump that against my mortgage, what effect does that have? Okay, so now in order to do that, you have to make sure that your mortgage allows for you to do these prepayments, because otherwise there could be penalties against you, or they may not allow you to do this $6,000. Okay, so you do need to talk to your bank or your lender and make sure that you can do the $6,000 amount. Okay, and you could do it, as a lump sum of 6,000, or you could say, okay, every single month, I'm going to do, in this case, it would be $500. So every single month, you're going to do $500 to get up to your 6,000 for the year. Okay. So if you do that, you would be saving $48,000 in interest. Okay, that is huge. Okay. So so the way to think of this is if I was to put $6,000 into against my mortgage for 5 years, I would have put in 30,000. That 30,000 would hit my principal. Okay. So that means now I'm not paying interest on that principal amount of 30,000. Okay. Now, because I don't have to pay interest on that 30,000, I'm actually saving $48,000 just in that 5 years. Okay. Which is so crazy when you look at that. Like you're actually saving 160%. Okay. When I started using these calculations like years and years ago, I was like, why would I not pay down my mortgage faster? Right. So here's the thing though. Okay, as an investor, you want to be leveraging your money. You want to tap into somebody else's like other people's money and leverage that as much as you can. Okay. So going to the bank and leveraging the bank's money is an ideal way to grow your net worth and grow your wealth. Okay, so in this case, okay, what I'm saying is if you put in 30,000 against your own mortgage, you would be saving $48,000 in interest, which is massive. Okay. So now this is 160% return on your money. So now you have to divide that by 5 and get your annual return. Okay. So what that means, okay, in this scenario with all the numbers the way they are, okay, my total savings off of my mortgage would be $48,000. Okay. Now look at this. In my TFSA, if I had ran this scenario through for 5 years, my TFSA would only be worth $44,000. Okay, so in this particular case, in a 5-year scenario with all the numbers running, making that initial payment to my mortgage would give me a $4,000 gain over a 5-year period. Okay, now this number changes. What's interesting is that if I went to, let's say, 10 years, okay, my TFSA would actually have gained way more than putting that money against my mortgage. Okay. So that's where you sort of have to run the numbers. And if you're going to do this for 10 years and be very committed to doing $6,000 against your TFSA, then in this case, it may make sense to just put your money in your TFSA. Okay. And get the 127,000 and balance as opposed to saving 86,000 against your mortgage. Okay, in 10 years. So now here's where my advice now takes a bit of a twist. Okay, what I want you to think about here is it's not TFSA or my mortgage. Okay, what I'm saying is you can actually do both. Okay, so what I'm actually suggesting, okay, is that you okay, take your $6,000, put it against your mortgage. Okay, every single year you're going to take the $6,000 and you put it against your mortgage. Okay, the second step now is that instead of just stopping there and not doing anything else, okay, you make sure that your mortgage has a readvanceable HELOC tied to it, meaning that as you pay down your mortgage principal, your HELOC number goes up. So that means that the $6,000 that you just put in against your mortgage now becomes available on your HELOC. Okay. And this is where I would need to, advise you to go and talk to a financial advisor, talk to your mortgage agent, talk to another friend, and make sure that this is right for you. Because, yeah, this idea is it's got a bit of risk to it. Okay. So as you pay down your mortgage, your HELOC number goes up, your value, the available money in your HELOC goes up. So then the second step is to take that money from your HELOC, right? And then you do step number 2, which is you make an investment to a business, another real estate opportunity, like so you buy an investment property. So you buy a business, okay, buy a real estate thing, or you put the money into stocks like a REIT, like those public stock stuff. Okay, so if you put your HELOC money into one of those avenues, okay, the interest that you pay on that money, okay, the interest that you have to pay to the bank for that money, that becomes now a tax deductible expense. Okay, so this is where you should talk to your accountant to make sure that this is right for you. Okay, so the benefit of doing that now is that it doesn't cost you any money to borrow that money because of that HELOC money, because at the end of the year, you're going to write it off again on your taxes. Okay, so if I could like put those like emoji things over my head, the light bulbs would be going off. Okay, so then you borrow that HELOC money. Okay, and that's where the risk part comes in, is because if you put your money from your HELOC into an investment and that investment doesn't make any money, you still have to pay on that interest. Like you still have to pay that HELOC money back. It's not free money. Okay, so that's one of the risks. Okay, so you take that HELOC money, you go and you buy your public stock, you buy your business, or you buy an investment opportunity, or you invest in somebody else's business or invest in real estate. Okay, so all of that should qualify for this. You write off the taxes at the end of the year, so you work with your accountant on that. So those investments that you bought, those should generate income for you, right? So some sort of either cash flow or appreciation. Okay, so let's just say that you put it into like a REIT, okay, and you buy a public stock, okay? So that's where this part of the spreadsheet comes in. So here you borrow the $6,000 from your HELOC. So because you took the money from wherever and you put it against your mortgage, now your HELOC goes up. So now you're going to borrow that HELOC money. You're going to put it into one of these investment things that I told you about. And let's just say it gives you 10% on that money. So you're going to get a return of $600. Okay, so $600 itself is not a big deal. Okay, but when you calculate the return on that, okay, in addition to the savings that you're getting off of the interest on your mortgage, plus the $600 that you just made, now you're making an 83% on that one chunk of $6,000. Okay, so now here your money is having multiple jobs. Okay, first the job is to pay down the mortgage. Okay, the second job is to invest in this other opportunity, so business, stocks, or another real estate opportunity. Okay, then when you get that profit from that investment, then you top up your TFSA. Okay, so now your money actually has 3 jobs for you. Okay, and then that money will grow in your TFSA, additionally making this return that we talked about here. Okay, on just the TFSA portion. Okay, so that's what I would recommend for anybody who's like sitting there going, hey, should I buy TFSAs or, okay, so it's a dividend TFSA. Okay, it can't just be TFSA, it needs to be a dividend TFSA. Okay, should I buy a dividend TFSA or should I pay down my mortgage? It's not an or question, it's an and question, but you got to do the mortgage portion first. get the HELOC portion, then do the TFSA. Okay, so that is the calculation for today. Okay, I hope that this stuff gets you really excited, because when I realized that I could do this with my TFSA money, I was like, hell yeah. Okay, like, to be able to give your money multiple jobs so that you yourself are not working. Okay, that is the best way. All right. So that is what we have for today. So thank you very much for tuning in, and I will see you next Monday. Thank you, everybody.